to Elliott. Oh, the bicycle!
The shot, Bedoya with a goal, 1-0 Union.
With his team in a bind, locked in a scoreless draw with the Chicago Fire, Union super sub Joaquin Torres stepped up once again. His 90th minute shot from outside the box fooling Fire keeper Chris Brady, giving the boys in blue all 3 points. Happy Thursday, Union fans, and welcome back to another episode of Union Insider. Alongside Sheanon Williams and Sebastian Latou, I'm Marisa Pilla. The Union come into Week 4 coming off of a 1-0 victory over the Chicago Fire. Was it the prettiest win the Union have ever had? Absolutely not. There was no rhythm to this game for the Union, but it kept their home winning streak alive and put another 3 points in the win column. At the end of the day, gentlemen, a win is a win. What were your key takeaways?
For me, my key takeaway is that they got 3 points. I think it's the most important thing, especially early in the season, trying to get your season underway, especially with them being in two different tournaments and making sure that they are competitive in both.
Yeah, for me, I think it was very important to get the first clean sheet. I think they did it with, the injury of Andre in the first half, and I think it was very important for the team who was, the best defense last season to get their first, shot at home with a late winner. But when you have a good team, you find a way, especially in those ugly games, to get the last goal and the win, and it's what it did. So it was very important, but I think the shutout was very, very important.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter how it looks as long as you get those 3 points at the end of the night. And as you mentioned, Andre Blake did leave the game in the first half with a groin injury. We hope he's back sooner rather than later. Off-season signing Joaquin Torres is only a few games into his Philadelphia Union career, but he's already making a name for himself in Philly. Week 1, that beautiful assist to Julian Carranza. Week 3, the game-winning goal in the 90th minute. Before the season even started, we sat here and compared him to former Union super sub Ilsinho. We've seen Torres' tactical ability, his ability to be a playmaker late in games, and his confidence on the ball. How well is he playing into that role of super sub?
He's doing very good, I think. It's just the fact that, like you say, he came on for a little bit of period of time. It was not even a long of time during the first game, get the first assist, and now in this game, maybe got a bit more minute because you needed something to kind of get the deadlock out of the Chicago defense. And he was kind of the player who was doing most of his time on the field and taking the chances. He got a few shots before he got the first goal, but even if he missed, he tried again. And you see he's still very confident, and it's what the team needed. And right now, he's doing a great job as coming in the game to get the team rolling.
He's been exactly what they need coming off the bench, being that spark plug that they've missed so many times, especially last year. Somebody that can come in and really change the game and make things happen. Seba talked about him taking chances. He takes a lot of them and in good spots and in areas where he can be dangerous and really look to attack the opposing team. So hopefully we'll see more minutes from him. Hopefully we'll see him get some starts as well and really see what he can do for this team in this upcoming year.
Torres was a bright spot for the Union, but overall a pretty choppy effort for the Philadelphia Union. We know that they're in the midst of playing both MLS and Champions League right now. How much of an effect, from a scale of 1 to 10, do you see CCL having on the output we're seeing from the Union?
For me, it's definitely big changes. We're seeing a lot of substitutions being made, especially in the starting lineup, especially during the game. There's definitely 1 foot in Champions League and 1 foot into the season. It's a hard thing to navigate. I think the Union have the depth this year to deal with it, along with the other things that they have coming up. It's something that they looked at going into the season and a reason why they have some of these additional pickups as they went into the beginning of the season.
And the fact is, too, it's the beginning of the season. So, with a new, not system, but new players coming into the team, you have not as much time to prepare for the game, each weekend, because first you need to prepare for the Champions League, and then you have a day of rest / recovering from the game, and 1 day maybe to prepare tactically for the next opponent. So it's much less time in a week from Jake Curtin to get his team ready fully for what exactly you want the team to do. And of course, you saw in the games this weekend, the weather, when it's cold outside, to kind of get the body going, get, the energy, it's a bit more difficult. And I think all of those things make it harder for them to prepare for each game.
To put it in context, the Union are in a stretch of 4 matches in 11 days. You both have played in similar stretches. As a player, where do you start to feel it more, mentally or physically?
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, it's I say physically, just because you want to always, when you're on the field, you want to play your hardest, but you know that sometimes you kind of maybe don't have to go forward, especially for a defender, kind of like rest your leg, because you know the game is going and you have another one the next weekend. So depending, usually it's on the score, you can maybe rest more or push more, but it's I think for me physically, personally, because mentally you always want to play. So I love the game. It's what I think you're looking for as a player.
Is there mental fatigue?
I definitely believe so. I think that the mental aspect of the game and playing in such a short amount of time definitely wears on you. You even start to look ahead sometimes into what's next and who's coming up on the schedule, and that can sometimes bite you. So it's important that you take care of both aspects of it, the mental side and the physical side, to get yourself ready for these games coming up in a short period of time.
Exhausting nonetheless, for sure. Let's get into our first team report presented by Green Mountain Energy. The Union are looking for some redemption on the road this weekend. The boys in blue have won both their league matches at home, but struggled on the road in Miami. However, a road trip up north may just be what the doctor ordered. You see, CF Montreal has been riding the struggle bus this season. No wins and no goals through 3 games. That makes them just the 5th team in MLS history to do that, although that's not really the kind of company you want to be keeping.
We have to go up and give 100%. You can always have a bad start or a good start to a season. It's their home opener, so the crowd is going to be with them. And we're going to need a good, really good performance to take 3 points up there.
We have a tough task to go on the road now in what's been a busy stretch, but I think our players will be up for it, and we'll have a good response and try and get some points on the road.
If you've watched Montreal at all so far this season, you know they're not passing the eyeball test anytime soon. Their defense gets stretched so easily, and they really lack a clear identity, especially on the attack. There are no gimme games in MLS, but why wouldn't the Union succeed against Montreal?
I mean, they should. I've been able to watch those games, quite, very closely during the beginning of the season, commenting 2 of their games this year. And I feel like the thing is, with all the changes happening in their team, plus playing 3 games away, and having such a young squad and playing with 3 in the back, the Union can really, take advantage of good counterattacks. They do very silly mistake, and the recovery is not as quick. You can see the lack of experience, even if they have Wanyama in the midfield. But it could be a very good game for the Union, but they need to really put some pressure into this team, but at the same time kind of wait for their mistake, because you can see that they are very silly sometimes offensively, and they do some stuff that they should not.
Sheanon, from a defensive point of view, with your defensive mind, what is the glaring thing missing from Montreal's defense? Just
purpose to their game. I think that they stress on all this passing and getting forwards and getting numbers forwards, and then they're a little bit naive on the other side of things. I think they leave a little bit too many numbers ahead of the ball, and then when it turns over, it's going to be really important that the Union do a good job of looking to counterattack and looking to get in behind, as they only leave about 3 or 4 guys back. They're a team that's still searching for their identity under a new head coach. It's going to take some time. They're at home. They'll be looking to get 3 points to get their season started, and it's an important points and a match for them.
As you said, Montreal did have a coaching change this offseason. Wilfred Nancy was a Coach of the Year candidate last year with Montreal last season, but now he's left for Columbus. Now Montreal has Hernan Losada, who most previously coached for DC United. Tactically, what has changed for Montreal?
It's a bit different, like everything in his pressing. You saw a little bit what he's trying to do to press a bit higher, with his team. Right now, sometimes he plays with 2 number 10s, sometimes he plays with 1, with 2 forwards, a little bit different, but he still plays with 3 in the back. It's something he didn't change. But he had some injury as well, with Piet being injured last weekend. He might come back for this game. But at the same time, in the midfield, that way, they play very 2 young players with Sean and Saliba. And you can see the lack of experience, and defensively, they are not ready yet to kind of be at the level. So like say Sheanon, it takes few games to have the coaching staff really put what they want, but as of now they are not completely ready. You saw 0 goals offensively, and it's really what is lacking in this game, and then of course the confidence kind of low when you can't score a goal.
Montreal does have some talent within this roster, though. Kamal Miller, a dependable veteran center back, as you said, Samuel Piet, a workhorse in the midfield, and their leading goal scorer from last year, Romel Kyoto, is still with the team. How could you make the case, maybe, that this Montreal team is better than what their winless record would indicate?
I think that's tough. I think For me, it's a team that's in transition, and while they still have some of their building blocks, they're looking for the pieces that go around those building blocks, the guys that are going to feed the strikers like Kyoto and the other players that they have up top in the attacking positions. I think that they're still searching for those answers, and they're looking to find it here in week 4 against the Union.
They said it's not time to panic just yet in Montreal. We'll see if that trend continues. That's going to wrap it up for this week's First Team Report. Up next on Union Insider, we'll take the guys' temperature on what will be key for a Union victory over Montreal, plus why Montreal's offseason is still having an effect on their first team. That and more next. Last month, the first episode of The Union Way premiered on YouTube. The show represents a behind-the-scenes look at team meetings, practice conversations, and more. Here's a snippet from that first episode.
And again, I know it's tough because you're in a good rhythm with us and now you go with the national team. Yeah. But when you go there, just be a leader there, right? Because you are, right? And those guys look up to you. But when you come back now, have in your brain, striker, 10, sometimes maybe still outside of the diamond to help us there. But we want you closer to goal because I think that's where your best qualities come out. And obviously you're fit right now. You're able to run and press, and that's been really good. So keep going, right?
Thanks,
good. Yeah.
Catch The Union Way now on the team's YouTube channel and on Apple TV. Episode 2 premieres later this month. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Marisa, that's Seba, that's Sheanon. This is Union Insider. Let's pick up where we left off, digging deeper into the Union's opponent this weekend, CF Montreal. Montreal is very much a team in transition, not only a new head coach, but also a lot of roster turnover. It could be too much too soon happening in Montreal. And if you look at this list, most of the guys that have left were starting caliber players. How are the incoming players they brought in equipped to replace the talent that left Montreal?
I mean, it's very difficult just because we talk about it already, like with the change of coaching staff. It's a different style of play, and then you have different players who are much younger, never really play for the team last season. So coming, in this type of team, playing 3 games away, have 3 losses, no goals, it's very difficult. But, they have some quality. You can see, they can play together. But I think to get the chemistry between the entire team, from the defense to the offense, it takes time, and hopefully it doesn't start this weekend against the Union.
Talking about the inexperienced players, at a certain point, Hernan Losada started 5 rookies in his starting lineup. What are some common miscues an inexperienced team can make that an opponent, like the Union, could potentially pounce on?
Just not playing the ball quick enough, not being able to deal with the speed of play with them. It's very new to them and what the MLS is like and what they should expect. It takes a few games to get under your belt, for you to feel comfortable, to feel confident, to really get yourself going in these games. So for them, they're relying on a lot of young players. Those young players need to really step up and start to find their legs.
An area the Union can definitely take advantage of this weekend as we transition now to the keys to the game presented by Subaru. These two are going to hand us their keys for a Union win. Seba, you are up first.
So I think for me, just finding the space behind the fullbacks. As we said, that the Montreal team play with 3 in the back, with 2 wide players, which go forward. And when they lose the ball, and I think it's going to be the case in this game, Montreal plays the first game at home. They need to get the ball, try to make the game. The Union can sit back, relax, wait for their mistake, which they will do, and then kind of counter-attack very quickly, and the space between those fullbacks will be open. So I'm really expecting to see them really create chances from this type of point, but going very quick forward and finding those passes in those channels.
Against Chicago, both of the Union's outside backs played pretty well. Kai Wagner on the left side completed 11 crosses, and Olivier Mbaizo on the right side really got high often and connected well with Alejandro Bedoya. Who does this matchup with Montreal benefit more, Kai Wagner on the left or Olivier Mbaizo on the right?
I would say probably none of them for me personally.
Really?
For me, I think it's just the front 3.
Okay.
Kind of like really being well together, connecting, and knowing exactly who is going to run more into the space. I think Ura is more this type of player who will take those spaces for the team. But I think if they know exactly, okay, when we get the ball, where is the space, and you can find minimum one of those players running in those channels, I think it's where we get those chances.
Sheanon, your key?
For me, the key to the game is just to be clinical in both boxes. We know that they'll need to defend well. Can they be a little bit more clinical on the attacking side, finishing off some of those chances? You talked about Kai having 11 crosses. Can we get to see a little bit more finesse in that final pass and making sure that they connect and that it's a goal, especially on the road? We know how important goals are. Can they nick one early and then look to really build into the game from there?
What is the experience like playing in Montreal?
It's a tough place to play, especially early on in the season.
You can be honest.
It's cold. It's definitely not one of my favorites, but again, just one of those road games that's important, especially in the context of the Union season and what they need to get done here in the early part of the season. So while it might not be your favorite place, you got to go and get the job done.
And this game will get played, indoor at the Olympic Stadium, which is on turf, and it's a bit different. It's going to be a different bounce, what they have been used to from the beginning of the season. So a different atmosphere. The stadium is far away, from the fans from the field. So it's going to be interesting to see. But last year they did a very good job over there. So hopefully they do the same thing.
Ernst Tanner is known for unearthing soccer gems from all over the world. And that trend really started when he brought in left back Kai Wagner. Wagner has gone from a complete unknown to a member of the MLS Best 11. Hear from him next on his favorite moment as a member of the Union. We're back with our Nugget of the Week presented by Chick-fil-A. With a win over the Fire, the Union now have won 13 straight home matches. They are one away from tying the MLS record of 14 straight, set by the San Jose Earthquakes between 2001 and 2002. Welcome back, everyone. Over the last few years, Kai Wagner has established himself as one of, if not the best, left back in all of Major League Soccer. As part of our player profile series presented by Subaru, he explains the moment he first fell in love with this game. Take a listen.
Martinez going to switch the point of attack. Empty ball there, over to Wagner, over Huon with that cross. Looking for Huon, and that's back home for the Union!
I got involved in soccer, I think, when I was 3 years old. Everybody was just playing like in my hometown, and I was just into it from day one and never stopped it again. I think everybody has to dream, like as a young kid you always dream about like to become a professional, but I think you just realize it when you like get to the higher level, when you compete like with better teams. And I think when I was 16 I was competing at a really high level already. With 17 I went to the first team already, and then I think I realized that I can make it, and I did the first step, and then step by step. I think as a kid I was always looking up to Bastian Schweinsteiger, a German player who always were like fighting, never gave up, and were like just fighting for 90 minutes, controlled the game. I think that was a huge person and made a huge impact for me. I think we had a lot of memorable moments with the Union. I think the supporter shield, especially last year, the win of the Eastern Conference, I think was one of the biggest things. I love spending time with my family, and of course I love also spending diving. I was now at the Galapagos Islands. I think that was the best place I've done so far.
There's no one near him at the moment. Wagner drives it low and it goes in! It may have been deflected, we'll wait and see.
I think like people are really friendly here, and it doesn't matter which place you're going here. I think everybody opens you with white hands and just like everything about America.
Will Joaquin Torres play the hero off the bench once again? Will one of the homegrowns step up? Maybe Jose Martinez finally scores one from distance. We'll give you the goods on who we're thinking will make the biggest impact in our brand new Players to Watch segment coming up when Union Insider returns. Not sure if you've noticed, but Major League Soccer looks a little different this year. If you've caught any of the action on Apple TV, you know what you're in for. Top coverage and analysis, all in crystal clear 1080p resolution. There's a million ways to watch. They're there for you on the screen, so make sure to sign up today so you don't miss out on any of this weekend's action. We're wrapping things up here on Union Insider, and we're also switching things up with a brand new segment, All-State Players to Watch. Both Seba and Sheanon have racked their brains and selected a player they think is going to carry his team to victory. Now, full disclosure, we know these will probably turn out to be wrong, but let's give them a shot. Right, guys? Seba, you're up first.
As a forward, I have to go with Michael Ura, just because I feel like he didn't score yet in this season, but he has been pretty good making those runs. But playing a team like Montreal, playing at 3, I think he really fit his game and he fit all his good run he's making in the space. So I really feel like he can get probably like some 1v1, maybe with a keeper, some one-on-one at the end, and I think it really be a game for him to kind of like get his season started and get maybe 1 or 2 goals on Saturday.
Sheanon?
For me, it's going to be the guy that looks to set up Michael Uhre, and that's Daniel Gazdag. I think for me, he's the engine and the guy that makes the offense tick. If Uwa's making these runs in behind the defense, can Gazdag do a job of really looking to find him early and often and getting him going is a really important part of this Union offense. Especially the Union are going to need him to score a lot of goals this year. Need to get him going, especially out on the road. I think it will be an important game for him, and I think Daniel Gazdag is the one that can help out Michael Uhre in that attacking third and making sure that he's seeing good chances in and around the goal.
With that, we are wrapping things up with this week's Union Insider. The Union and Montreal kick off at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday on Apple TV. But check in with us every Thursday night, 9 p.m. right here on PHL 17. For Seba and Sheanon, I'm Marisa. Thank you so much for watching.